we're breaking down Bow Wow, what he said about his beef with Omarion, which is interesting to me because they're currently on tour together, I believe, and or were, and his beef with Soulja Boy and a whole bunch of other people. So grab your popcorn, secure your edges, because we are about to get into some things. So he was on Cam Newton's Funky Friday, and you know, all the ex-athletes are getting all of the tea. I suppose it's because the entertainers and athletes feel comfortable spilling their tea with another entertainer. So they do. Well, Bow Wow broke down his past beefs with fellow rappers, a mentor or two, and even an NFL star. First up, who knew Bow Wow had this many beefs? I certainly didn't. But the one that I find the most interesting is, of course, with Omarion. So we're going to hear a little bit about what Bow Wow has been beefing about with all of these individuals. Like, who knew?
So were you acting when you were beefing with Soulja Boy?
No.
That was real beef.
Yeah, over cars.
Wow.
Over Lambos. Shout out to Soulja. That's my dog. It was interesting because we met on his Crank That video shoot. It was my idea to go down there and rock with him. It was always like my idea to whoever was new and coming into the game, it was always my thing to lend my hand out and rock with you. That's why the Scream tour was so popular, because I always lended a hand out there and try to bring up the next wave. And went down there to support him for the Crank That. We was cool. And then, young, we both rappers. He the new, I'm still here. And it was just young, rich beef, but it wasn't no street beef. It was Lambos. He had the Gallardo or the Gallardo. I had the Mercy I bought. So I was just giving him the same medicine that all my big homies was giving me about my car. And, we said, well, all right, then we'll race. We show the pink slips, whoever win, and, Lambo come home. But that was...
First of all, I mean, I know they're young, but young with that much money and all of the things that Bow Wow has talked about he experienced at that time period, it's like, I wonder, even though he says the beef was real and it was over cars, I still wonder how much of this stuff is manufactured. Because if you think about it, Bow Wow's been in the industry for 30 years, right? He's about 37, 38 years old now. And the social media era was Soulja Boy. Soulja Boy literally started on YouTube when YouTube was first launching. You have him to thank for social media marketing for a rapper, essentially, and going viral, right? And ringtones and all of that stuff. But Bow Wow, he was a legend. Like, say what you want, good, bad, or indifferent. We know Bow Wow has been prone to tell a couple of tales. We know he got caught up on social media with his fake post of the private jet and all of that. He did something really huge at a very young age, was polished as a performer, had those hits, rolled it over into acting, and was good at it. I don't know what happened, in his 20s and 30s a little bit. Maybe he lost his way a little bit, but he seems to be focused more. So we'll continue. This is a long clip, so I'm forewarning you guys. So let's get into the rest of what he has to say.
All my big homies was giving me about my car. And, we said, well, all right, then we'll race. We show the pink slips, whoever win, and, Lambo come home. But that was that. Like, we look back at that now and be laughing. Excuse me, me and Soulja get on FaceTime and just be laughing about certain stuff. If it go viral, we like, man, remember this stupid? Man, we were so stupid. And to this day, like, that's my dog. And I know if I needed him, he'll come through for me.
Say less. And the list goes. Lil Romeo, was that real beef?
No beef whatsoever. Everybody thought Fresh As I'm Is was a diss to him, and it never was. And the only reason why was because of the 18 making more than your dad, which was a line from that specific line came from another iconic hip hop artist. And because of the similarities, how people tried to pin it together, I had JD. We both come from two iconic labels. There's two iconic hip hop moguls behind us. Of course, his father, Master P, who I highly respect, businessman, hustler. They tried to make it a thing. I had the Mickey Mouse, he had the Bugs Bunny, but it never was to me. Like, not even from an arrogant place. Like, it just never was. And if he was here, he'll say it never was. I never wanted, it never should have been that, and I never wanted to be that. And through time, I had conversations with Rome, and he was like, yo, bro.
Yeah. So here's the thing, and I believe them when they were kids. You know, that was probably showmanship, the people behind them trying to get a little hype. You know, that's what they do, right? But I do wonder when they got older, because didn't they both date Angela Simmons? Weren't they both pretty serious with Angela Simmons? I'm messy? Andy said I'm messy. I'm just saying it happened. It was addressed. They talked about Romeo and Angela Simmons, and Bow Wow too for a little bit, were all on Growing Up Hip Hop. It was a storyline. Andy, why are you saying I'm messy? It was out there. So I just wonder, because both had very, seemingly deep relationships with her. So I wonder if that's all the way real. It could be, but it just, how can you be homies and you're dating the same woman and she's kind of not literally going back and forth, but, there's some interaction there. Life. Let's continue on. Yeah, let's continue.
All my big homies was giving me about my car.
Did it go back? I think it might have went back. Well, if it went back, that's okay.
And if he was here, he'll say it never was. I never wanted, it never should have been that, and I never wanted to be that. And through time, I had conversations with Rome, and he was like, yo, bro, it was all because I looked up to you, bro.
Wow.
Like, I really looked up to you. Like, he was like, you don't understand. And to this day, like, that's why on the verses, when me and Soulja Boy did the verses, you see Rome come out and give me my flowers. He's like, yo, Bow, you like the Jordan of this, and I'm like the Kobe and vice versa. But it was just a dope moment. That's because we wanted the people to know, like, there never was an issue between us. It was more of the media trying to.
Andy want to jump in because I said that's a stretch, that they are the Jordan and Kobe of the rappers of their era. Please.
Maybe not Romeo.
Okay, right.
But Bow Wow.
Bow Wow.
At the time.
Yes, I would agree with that. I'm just saying, there's Chris, again, not in his era, but I'm just saying, no, Bow Wow, the 2000s, as far as a kid rapper, him and the group B2K and Omarion, which we're going to get to in a second. But Lil Romeo was popular. Didn't he have a Nickelodeon show or something?
I think he did.
And I know he did a movie, but Lil Romeo, when he was Lil Romeo and rapping, I'm not a little kid, so it wasn't for me. But Bow Wow definitely had it.
100%.
Lil Romeo was developing.
100%.
Developing. I mean, again, let me stop talking like I was a kid when all of this was popping. I was an observer. So this is just my thoughts. Let's get into Omarion part, though. I think that's coming up now.
Make that thing a thing, and it never was.
Moving right along. Omarion. Was that a real beef?
It's complicated. It's complicated.
Still?
Yep. Yeah. Still.
What?
Yeah, it's complicated.
We can't just sit down and hash it out.
I don't want to talk.
He don't want to talk, or you don't?
I don't want to talk. It's nothing to talk about. Not even in a bad way. You know what I mean? It's just when you lay your hand out and you try to be the bigger person and try to rap, but you get no response, and you're just like, okay, well, we're gonna leave it right here then. You know what I mean? And let's just, you do your thing, I'm gonna do my thing, and we just gonna keep the peace. But it's definitely not no beef. Like we in the same buildings. Like we pass each other in arenas. We might not speak, but we walk past each other.
I was about to say, because what type of beef are we talking about? We talking about 50 Cent, Rick Ross type of beef?
No. That's
Drake, Kendrick type of beef?
Hell nah, because if it's on, it's
Quavo, Chris Brown type of beef?
Nah, because beef is, if I see you at any place in time, it's on where it's on, like it's on site. That ain't what it is with us. It's just more of we've been through this thing for so long that where we at, he's 40. Like, I'm 38. Like, where we at now, like, not like we grown. And it's just like, we don't have to do that now. We got kids. We got our own lives. Where I'm going in my career is where I'm going. Where you going is where you going. I wish you nothing but the best. And for me, the the best revenge sometimes is time. You ain't even got to do much. That's why I said in the tweet, we don't have to talk. You know what I mean? It's just time for us to hit the stage and we'll leave it on the stage. We'll let the fans decide what it's going to be.
This was a
Here's my thing. One, what happened? Right? I didn't even really know that they were beefing. But the thing that is interesting is Omarion comes up a lot in beefs. And, we know Omarion's persona is Mr. Unbothered, but is he? I don't know. That was an interesting commentary because right now they are on the Millennium Tour together. They did a whole album together. They don't perform those songs together at the shows. I'm sure fans probably want to see some of that energy and they don't get that. So I get being grown men and maybe not hanging out, partying, drinking, doing that. I get that you have families. I mean, are the kids, I think the kids are close in age. Maybe the kids don't rock, but you get together at backyard barbecues, but you don't have to. But professionally, if you're going to be on a joint tour and you have an album together and some of your latter biggest hits were together from that album, why not perform any of them? Isn't that what the fans want to see? They don't want to hear one like Fresh as I'm Is or what the one you just played. Come on, everybody wants everybody wants to hear that from them. They want to see Bow Wow do the dance, and I mean they don't have to interact really, because their sets, they might be separated by someone. Absolutely. They probably rarely see each other at the venues. They may not stay in the same hotels, and they're not sharing tour buses. So you think about it, even teams do that. People like look at teams when they're young, and then when they get older, they're like, well, why aren't they hanging out? People got lives. They got other things going on. So that's that. Let me wrap up Bow Wow and his beefs. So the Brat, he said that their issues don't go deep. She was like a mentor and a big sister to him. But, probably has some history. A little annoying, little brother type or whatever. He was real, casual about it, respectful, right? Kept it pushing. And he also has beef with Le'Veon Bell. They're both from Columbus, Ohio, right? Now, Bow Wow left Columbus fairly early. I mean, it is home, birthplace. But he moved to Atlanta when he was about 8 or 9 years old. For a minute he was out here, I should say, with Snoop and Death Row and all of them before he got to JD. That's how JD found Bow Wow, because Snoop was like, we can't really do nothing with him, Remember little Bow Wow in the Gin and Juice video jumping on the couch? So it's hard to maintain relationships over a 30-year period with anyone, but you add in the layer of entertainment, youth, growing, and all of those things. Things change. I think sometimes it's disappointing for fans because they want to hold you in that one space and crystallize that moment. We know even back then, I think about back in the day, like Right On Magazine and Black Beat and stuff like that. They used to have Michael Jackson versus Prince, right? There was always that debate. Who do you like better? Who's more? You couldn't be a Prince and a Michael Jackson fan. You could. I was. But I think that it is a marketing thing. It gets people excited. People want to have a side. It's just that now stanism has turned fandom into something else. So I think that they really, really, really want to be involved and push the agenda. So it's gone from sort of playful competition and things of that nature. Maybe not so playful. We all saw the Temptations movie. We saw the 5 Heartbeats. I know it's not a real movie, but it was based on real life things. And, we know how that all gets down. He did say that there's no beef with Chris Brown. He calls him his forever guy.